フランク、ショーン、ハンボーン3人の幼馴染が集まってワイワイおしゃべり。カジュアルインタラクション。
I don't know if this is true, but like usual beverages, I'm fine with.
Right.
If I drink Red Bull,
Yeah.
like even just a can of it, I have to urinate way more until I've dispersed the can.
It's like the same color in, same color out.
It's, well, yeah, but also it's just like fishes in loaves. Like I drink one can and then I have liters of piss. Like what the fuck?
Yeah.
How's that possible?
It really does all come back to you just really wanting to be an altar boy, doesn't it?
I guess, yeah. I feel like a lot of my personality and my demeanor is based on guilt that I received from the Catholic Church as a young child.
So welcome to episode number 2 of the Casual Interactions podcast. I'm John Hambone, and joined with me as always is Frank Iero and Shaun Simon. How are you guys doing today?
Very good. Feeling handsome today.
Feeling handsome.
Yeah, it never stops though. You've always been handsome.
Oh, you son of a bitch.
Love you. Always have. So we are going to continue with our origin story. So this is Origin Story Part 2, Electric Boogaloo. Mm-hmm. It's like The Exorcist with more breakdancing and jazz hands. So last episode we talked about starting the band up, how the band started up. We talked a little bit about touring. Why don't we bring it back to that? Let's talk about when we started, we had a rehearsal space.
Yes, a lockout, if you will.
It was a lockout.
Yeah. I feel like when we first started playing together, it was my mother's basement.
Right. Now, his mom's basement was awesome, and it was wall-to-wall carpet. When you hear wall-to-wall carpet, you think, oh, it just goes from wall to wall with no hardwood floor space. No, there was actually carpet on the wall and ceiling.
Ceiling to wall to ceiling to wall to carpet to floor to door.
It was like being in a cube of shag carpet.
Yeah, that didn't help at all.
It didn't soundproof at all.
It didn't soundproof anything. It didn't make you feel warm. It was just, you didn't want to touch anything. It was just gross.
Yeah, you definitely didn't want to walk around barefoot in there.
No. Ultimately, it was a basement.
It was.
You know, a moist shag basement.
Right.
Yeah.
And you were living down there for a little bit. Like that was your bedroom.
I was. Yes. I ended up getting allocated to the basement.
Yeah.
It was good though. It provided a separate living space and exit. And a place for me to smoke cigarettes in my room. I feel like I thought that was pretty excellent. I loved that.
Yeah, everyone's like, oh man, what would it be like to be a teenager with a cool basement apartment? It was never cool down there. It was just sticky. It was always sticky.
Yeah, balmy. I think was the word. It was pretty balmy.
And there was 5 of us in there at one point with all our gear. So you had your bed in the corner and you had all the musical instruments.
Yes.
Now, when we were in high school, my bedroom was the band's rehearsal space.
That's right. That was the first one. Oh my God. Yeah. Do you remember why we had to stop there?
Why did we have to stop?
Because your mom would come in and yell at us for not wearing earplugs.
Yeah.
But you had like a full PA. It was crazy.
In your bedroom at your house in Clifton?
Yes.
My bedroom in my house in Clifton, my childhood home that I grew up in, my bedroom was over the garage. And I pushed all the furniture over to like one wall, and on my dresser, I stacked PA speakers in the PA. I had my bed kind of right by the door because it was the only safe way to get in and out of the room, because on the other side of the bed was a drum kit, there was a half stack, there was a bass amp.
Oh my God.
It was like an episode of Hoarders.
It was like an episode of Hoarders.
Like, I sleep on top of the PA.
Yeah. It was dangerous. I mean, I literally, I'd have to like ninja roll out of my bed to the right to make it out the door to go to the bathroom at night.
Also, I don't feel like anybody put their shit away.
No,
like there was just cables and pedals everywhere.
I had to get a tetanus shot once because someone left like their leftover guitar string snippings when they changed their strings.
Oh man,
it was cool though because my mother is a wonderful woman. She's the number one special lady in her age bracket, and she was so concerned that we were going to go deaf. Like every time we'd play, she'd come in and she'd give us this impassioned plea to wear earplugs. Meanwhile, my dad loved having the band at the house. He loved that there was music. My dad raised me with music. He loves music. So every time my mom would be up there like kind of tearfully imploring us to put earplugs in, my dad would be out on the grill and he'd be like grilling us. Like, I mean, this is before you became vegetarian. He'd be making like hot dogs and hamburgers. So we were always a very well-fed band.
Yes.
And then he would drive us to the gigs in his pickup truck. He'd put, thank God it never rained during any of those shows. But yeah, he put a tarp over our gear, drove us down to Newark, and we played like those like Spanish halls. It was a lot of fun.
That was fun.
Eventually, my mom wanted us to not play in the house because she's like, if you're not going to wear earplugs, you can't practice here anymore. Yeah. So we went to Frank's house.
Ultimatum.
Yeah, she did give us an ultimatum.
Yeah. My mom didn't give a shit.
No.
But yeah, and again though, well fed. I think we would practice on Wednesdays when there was a pizza place nearby that had like a special.
Or your mom would make lasagna.
Oh boy.
Yeah. We were like such a chubby little band. We had like little stick arms and little stick legs, but man, we were loaded to the gills with lasagna and like homemade garlic bread at all times.
Yes. At all times.
So there was 5 of us in the basement. It was myself, Shaun, Frank, our friend Neil, our friend Tim, and all our gear. And Frank's like bed, like just jammed into the corner.
There you go.
And we practiced. We practiced for 8-10 hours a day sometimes.
Yeah.
Before we eventually got to the studio, we'd only take.
It's weird that we didn't get better. like we got good, but we didn't get real good. we just got good and fat.
Yeah, we got good and fat. What also didn't help though that in like the summer it would get so hot, so we needed to cool the room down a little bit. So we would always go to IHOP.
I was gonna say, we went to IHOP before.
Yeah, because it was inexpensive to eat, and we would like feast. Like we'd get loaded upstairs on lasagna. We get loaded at IHOP on pancakes, and we came back and. Yeah, we were really well fed.
Yeah. These were the days though where you could go to a diner like after practice, go to a diner, order 1 cup of coffee, drink it all night, and smoke cigarettes at the table, like, for hours.
Yeah,
hours.
Absolutely.
It was like an episode of like Larry King or something. You should just fucking smoke and drink coffee for hours, and it would cost you $2.25
tops. I mean, because it was like $1 for the coffee, and you always tip the waitress.
Yeah,
that's tipping the waitress. And let's not bury the lead here. You could still smoke indoors everywhere.
Exactly.
Everywhere. Do you know the last night, one of the last time the Pensy Prep played CBGB's was the night that they banned smoking in New York City?
No shit.
Yeah, so we played.
Really?
Oh yeah, it was a big deal. So there was no one in the club. Like no one was coming to see Pensy Prep.
There was actually a couple of people.
I
mean a couple.
A couple of people, the bartender, and I think half the other bands had already left. However, whoever was in that bar, we were smoking on stage. People are smoking at the bar, like lighting one after the other, because they knew at like 3:00 in the morning when the bar closed, there was no more smoking indoors in New York.
Well, that's why Pensy had to stop because Shaun couldn't smoke on stage anymore. That's it.
I mean, if you want the real behind the music answer, it's like, you can't smoke indoors.
We pretended it was Creative Differences. It was actually the smoking band.
It was the smoking band. And honestly, if they ever offered us an outdoor festival, we could get back together because Shaun could smoke on stage. Oh, wait, you quit, though?
Yes.
No cigarettes anymore, man.
There you go.
Yeah.
Oh, now you've got nothing holding you back.
Meth. He has got to smoke meth.
Now it's meth. Now it's meth.
I got this meth pen I keep. Yeah, it's terrible for my teeth, but at least I quit smoking.
Jesus. So we went from one small space to another. So we eventually outgrew Frank's mom's basement, and then we went to a studio in Clifton that was in a warehouse.
Yeah.
And we got a very, 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 very small room. It was almost as small as the basement and a lot less ventilated.
Oh, the first one.
The first room,
That's right.
Well, eventually,
right.
I'm pretty sure that they turned that original room that we got
It's a bathroom.
into a bathroom.
It's
like
a bathroom.
That's how small it was.
Wow.
It was like a single person bathroom, right?
Yeah.
But it was a lockout. You could go there 24 hours. It was yours to make as much noise and as loud as you wanted. It was sweaty as fuck. And I also remember, didn't the lights not work for a little while? So we have to keep the door open.
Yeah.
Do you remember
Is that true? I don't remember.
Yeah. We had to
it may have just been a
open.
light bulb, but no one replaced it.
Okay, so no matter how small the room is, the ceiling is really, really high. So
Exactly.
I forget what it took to finally get one of us to like borrow a ladder from. I think we borrowed a ladder from my dad.
Possibly.
We drove it down there and we changed the light bulb, and that was it.
Yeah.
We had a Coke machine right next door. They made a lot of money off of us on that Coke machine.
Yeah. Nothing tastes better than like a cold can Coke.
It was the only thing cold in that entire warehouse.
This is true.
So we were in that room for a while, and that's where we probably wrote about half of Heartbreak In Stereo in your mom's basement. Some of the songs I had left over from when I was like 13, 14 years old. And that's why like the subject matter, if you listen back to Heartbreak In Stereo, is very like, a 14-year-old kid with feelings wrote this.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So then we wrote more of it in your mom's basement. I think we finished it in that small room in that rehearsal place.
I would say, yeah.
Yeah.
Probably.
And that's about the time like we...
But there, you know what? Actually, I'm getting a flashback. There is an interstitial moment.
What's that?
Between my mom's basement and us going to hourly rehearsal studios before the lockout. It was before I think a room had to open.
Right.
Because we went to backstage.
Right? There was backstage, and then there was one on like 1 and 3.
Oh, the one in 1 and 9?
1 and 9, I mean, rather.
It was so hard to get to. It's so hard to get into. Most of it, so we went there once. We went to backstage a bunch of times. Now, Backstage Studios was in Little Falls, New Jersey.
Yep.
And I don't think it's there anymore.
I believe it's something else now.
It's something. I think it's called Smacktone now.
Okay.
So it was like if you watch an '80s movie with the heavy metal bands, like this is where they practiced.
Oh, definitely.
And all the amps were in various states of disrepair. They had pictures of all the bands that practiced there on the wall.
Yeah.
Including a picture of the guy who ran the place's old band, Transcontinental.
Oh, wow.
Right? And I remember this because, like, you'd go in there and, like, your friends would tell you, like, hey, backstage is cool to practice at. You definitely want to check it out. It's fine. They're decent rates. They're cool. If you cancel at the last second, they're not going to, like, gouge you. But you just ask for the worm. And and I'm like, the worm? And like, yeah. Just ask for the worm. And I'm like, why do they call him the worm? Like, just ask for the worm. And so I remember going there once. I was like, hey, can I talk to the worm? And the guy got so pissed. Like, I don't even remember what his real name is. And he's like, don't call me that. No one calls me that worm. And he had like this thick German accent that I'm not going to insult the German people by trying to do that accent. Like, just imagine Hans Gruber yelling at you about trying to book your hourly rehearsal place. So we finally get there. We're going there for weeks. And our friend Tim is looking at the pictures on the wall, and he sees the band Transcontinental. He's like, wow, that guy, oh my God, it's the guy that runs this place. We all come and we're all looking over. Now, everyone in this band is wearing like the tightest, like you got poured into these jeans. And he had this big old dick that was just running down the side of his leg. Like in Police Academy where Steve Guttenberg puts the balloon down his pants. Yes. Yeah, except this was all meat. And I'm like, wow, I guess that's why they call him the worm.
Oh, Jesus.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah, so we didn't practice there too long. So after... What the fuck was that?
What? I have no idea. Did that come out of you?
It wasn't me. Oh, shit. Yeah.
Please save that. I don't even care if it makes if it doesn't make the podcast. You just have to save it for.
It's in there. So after we learned the secret of the worm, we ended up at the Lockout. And the Lockout, we spent a lot of time and we wrote the rest of the record, and we eventually recorded the record, which became Heartbreak In Stereo. We went on our one ill-fated tour, and then Neil left the band.
Mm-hmm. Wait, but at that practice space, remember that? Isn't that when Hambone swallowed and threw up a goldfish?
That was the rehearsal. That was the hourly.
That was the hourly.
Yeah,
yes,
at backstage. And
right.
I actually think that is online somewhere. I think there's a video of that.
Don't Google it.
Oh,
I'm sure it is.
I think it's like that. The official video for
the secret
goldfish. Yeah,
right.
That's how she got her name.
Holy shit, I completely forgot that I actually did that.
Yeah.
Why did I do that?
You were doing it that was your thing.
That was a party trick. That was a party trick I used to do.
Yeah. You did it a couple of times.
Yeah, if you had an aquarium in your house and I came to one of your parties in the late 90s, I'm really sorry.
Yeah, you're like, that's a really cool fish. Yeah. Be cooler if it was inside me.
I'm going to swallow that fish. Hold on.
Don't worry, I'll give it back. I'm just going to borrow it for a second.
Jesus Christ. I'm really sorry about that, PETA, and anyone who would be upset by this. I barely remember that happened.
Fish only have a memory for 9 seconds or something, right?
Yeah, you might as well just swallow them.
So it doesn't matter. I'm saying if you hack him back up, he's gonna be all right. He's not gonna remember.
I don't think they were alive though.
Yes, they were.
They were.
They were.
When
very
you threw
much
them back
so.
up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
Oh God.
All right. Here's the thing. One, I don't remember how that started.
I don't remember. I think it was a dare.
Oh, I'm sure that. Yeah.
Or
but
I lost
why
a
did
bet.
you think that you could do that? You know what I mean? Like,
I don't remember. I think they. Because I think I was telling a story once how I used to be able to throw up on command to get out of going to school.
Yes. Yeah, well, that's true. I remember you being able to do that.
Yeah, it was great because anytime I needed to get out of school for something or the bully was coming around, I'd get out of it.
Right.
So, yeah, I was pretty good.
Nothing will stop a fight than throwing up on somebody.
Seriously, yeah.
That's true.
But we didn't even escalate it to that point. I would never even have to leave the house.
I like that.
I was like sitting around watching Sarah Jesse Raphael in my pajamas while everyone's at work because I was like, oh, I'm sick. I'm throwing up. It's like, well, no, but I'm now going to go eat this microwave pizza because I'm fine. So I did that. So I did that at Backstreet. Holy shit. I did that at Backstreet. And then we got to the rehearsal space when we got to the Lockout. We took it a little more seriously. because we were definitely paying a lot more for it.
Yeah.
I think we were paying about $500 a month for that like tiny bathroom that we were practicing in.
Really?
Yeah.
That's a lot.
That sounds like a lot, especially at that time.
Yeah.
I would say that sounds high to me, but okay.
It was.
So yeah, that kind of goes back to like the original origin story when we were talking about having the means to do this and sacrificing everything in your life. Like that was truly us to a T of like, all right, well, I'm gonna not eat.
Yep.
You know, I'll still buy cigarettes. You know what I mean? Yeah. And weed, but I'm gonna make this work so that
the important stuff.
Yeah. So you know that the creative stuff,
creative juices, it gets it flowing,
so that I can do this. You know.
Right.
You know, I think. Thank God we had really understanding families as well.
We did.
You know, that didn't kick us out on our asses. At least not at that point in our lives. You know what I mean? That came later. But like,
yeah, mine
too.
You know,
Hey, at some point you have to. That's the Jersey curse. Is a lot of people like being 40 and being like, all right, I guess I have to get an apartment now. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
A lot of people are still home. I mean, we moved out pretty early.
Yeah, I got out when I was 25 or 24 or 25. And the only reason why I think I stayed as long as I did because I was touring.
Right.
So it was kind of, my home was a home base for me. So it was about $500 a month for the small room. We got the opportunity when another band broke up. And subsequently, I think 3 bands broke up in a room down the hall that was like 2.5 times the size of our room, broken up into 2 rooms. Yeah. Because there was a lounge room and then an actual practice room.
Yeah. That was like the penthouse.
It was like the penthouse. And it was almost, I think it was $1,200 a month.
Was it that much?
Oh, yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah. So, I mean, I was waiting tables and working in bars at the time. So I was paying for most of it to keep it afloat so we could keep having a place to practice. Because, you know, once we moved over to the new place, it was just I Am a Graveyard. And we started trying to share it with some other bands. Now, do you remember the way it was set up? I lived there for a little bit because I had a falling out with my parents.
Right.
Over like, you know, how much money and how much time I was spending in bands and how I dropped out of college like for the 4th time and how I needed to find like some level of responsibility. Where when you really look at being a musician, being any kind of artist, like it's a second job if you're taking it seriously. So if you're putting in whatever hours you got to put in to make ends, you know, 9 to 5 or like graveyard shift, doing whatever you got to do. And then you have your other job, which is a full-time job.
Oh, definitely.
Which, you know, for my parents and a lot of parents in the older generation, they didn't understand that because things were supposed to be a certain way. So I was living in the rehearsal studio for a while, and I remember it because the guys next door, their drummer was also living in the rehearsal studio as well in their room. So he was like my first neighbor. It's like my first apartment. He was like my first neighbor. And in the lounge room, we had a TV setup. We had a full stereo, we had a little refrigerator, and we had a microwave.
Yes.
Now, what was cool was we had a Food Basics that was right in front of where we used to practice. So we were able to go there, and I'd like, you know, go get like little things of Chef Boyardee and like little microwave food. So it was a legit first apartment. And he did the same thing. And like, you knock on your neighbor's door to borrow a cup of sugars, like knock, knock. Do you have any Chef Boyardee? And I'm like, yeah, man, here's some ramen. Do your thing. Live your truth. Now, the funny thing is about where we were. Now, our old room years later was turned into a bathroom. And I practice there on the regular. And that room is the bathroom that's right by where we practice on our floor. The bathroom where it used to be was on the 3rd floor. Now, the 3rd floor bathroom was a murder bathroom. Yeah, they had a lounge on the 3rd floor with a couch that had just covered in jizz. I mean, that couch is just, and we're talking like jizz from like 3 generations of musicians. And
I never wanted to go up. I think we
used to pee in corners.
Bottles.
We used to pee in like in Burger King cups.
You just peed in a corner? God damn it!
Yeah.
Well, not in our room, in the hallway.
Oh right. Oh yeah.
No, we pissed in the room too. We did. We pissed in the room. We pissed in the cups and the Gatorade bottles, and we'd leave them on the windowsill, and sometimes they'd fall over.
Sometimes that happens.
And the first time we almost got evicted was because the people in the warehouse downstairs were complaining because there was cups of falling piss. And they traced it back to our room.
It wasn't hard.
It wasn't hard.
Yeah.
So I'm living in the rehearsal studio. I would have to go to the bathroom, and I'm there late at night, and it is scary there during the day. At night, so it had like three stalls and a couple urinals, and it had a shower.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
I never used a shower there. I would always sneak back
not.
into my parents' house because as much as I was taking the stand, I was always sneaking back into their house and using the shower, like showering at a friend's house because like I thought I was going to get murdered in this place.
Oh yeah, no, I'd rather get murdered than take a shower there.
Yeah. So bands would live there. They actually established a rule later on that bands are not allowed to have people living there.
Yeah.
Probably because of me.
Wow. Yeah. And then also, unfortunately, like years and years later,
someone did die there. There was a carbon monoxide leak, and unfortunately, someone did pass away there. So that's what we were up to. We were in that room, and I come back one day, and so there's two rooms. There's the lounge room, and there is the main room, which is huge. You could fit 2.5 bands comfortably. I come back one day, and Mr. Shaun Simon just decides, you know what? I don't like this wall here. Yeah. And he just demolished the wall.
Sledgehammered it. Yeah, you don't remember this?
No.
Oh my God! All right.
Wait, between the two rooms?
Between the two rooms, yeah.
That's why it wasn't there anymore.
Yeah.
You took a sledgehammer and knocked it down without telling anybody.
I couldn't have been the only one behind that.
Yes, you were. Well, it had been talked about. Oh, look at how much more space we would have if this wall wasn't here.
And I said, don't do it. We'll probably get in so much trouble for it.
We don't own this fucking place.
Now, mind you,
none of us are knowledgeable enough to know how to do this.
So it's
right way.
It's in an industrial park.
Yes.
Right? So there's a giant dumpster outside. And so I come in one day, and there's all this like sheetrock and like wood and shit in the dumpster. And I'm like, oh, it's crazy. And I look up, and I looked at it, and I see the sheetrock, and it's painted, and it's this green color. And I was like, wow, that looks like our room's green color.
It's a familiar emerald green.
I wonder if other rooms are painted the same way. And then I walked in, and mind you, in the lounge area, I had completely wallpapered the walls with different posters and different pictures and stuff like that. So the lounge had its own atmosphere. Well, no more, because I come in and all that's left is this power strip that goes down to a 4-panel electrical socket.
Yes, that's now just
dangling.
Because
right in the middle of the room.
Yes,
myself.
You did.
Really?
Yes, and I'll tell you how I know that you did.
You weren't there with me?
No, I showed up.
Come on.
And you were covered in sheetrock with goggles on, holding a hammer. A large sledgehammer.
Really?
And I was like, oh my God.
Because this sounds like something we would have done together.
Yeah, it does, but we didn't.
Fuck.
Well, yeah, because I immediately blamed you.
I know. And I was like, I told him this was a bad idea. None of us were... Yeah, first off, here's the thing. You're renting a place that is a certain way.
Yes.
You can't just knock down a wall, or you shouldn't, at least without permission.
Yeah.
Also, none of us were knowledgeable enough to do anything like that.
Right.
I feel like you should have some sort of experience in construction and or demolition and or electrical and or... Of course.
Like my brother is a contractor now.
Yes.
Back then, not so much. But I think he probably took wood shop, so he at least would have had a better idea on what to do. So now we had this completely double wide room.
Yeah.
And then we started inviting other bands in. So at one point in there, we had Murder by Death.
Yep.
We had Thursday. Mm-hmm. And then eventually, the Hostage was there, the Banner, and then my Chem.
Day at the Fair was there?
Day at the Fair was there for like a hot second. Mm-hmm. They were just kind of passing through. It's crazy, though, because I did go to Asbury Lanes the other night to see Thursday perform. And they wrote War All the Time in our room. Mm-hmm. You guys wrote Bullets.
Yep.
In our room.
Yeah.
The Banner wrote like a record in our room as well. So, I mean, everyone put out stuff that they wrote in that rehearsal space, which I think is pretty cool.
Mike Chem also shot your first video for
did. And Murder by Death did a video there.
Did they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's all right. So back into construction.
Right.
I feel like once the wall came down,
that was it.
Like the Berlin Wall.
Yes.
All bets were off.
Oh, yeah.
It was like, now we can do anything.
Now we can do
free.
anything.
We're free to do whatever. And we built a set for that video within the room and then decided to keep it. Like, we made flooring.
Yeah.
I remember that was another thing, too, was we put down these, like, plywood sheets.
Right.
And then Gerard and I painted all of that stuff overnight.
Yeah.
And got so high from the fumes that it was just like, I don't even know what we're doing. It was crazy.
Well, speaking of Gerard, it's funny because he and I one night, I don't even know how it happened, but I think you had paint left over. So we painted the door, not the inside of the door.
No,
we painted the outside of the door to the room black.
Right.
And I had a stencil of Elvis. So we got white paint and we got a bunch of other stencils, and we painted the little picture Elvis on top, and the door itself said, "Who will survive and what will be left of them?"
Yeah,
and that's why Murder by Death named that record.
That's right.
That they wrote there. Who will survive and what will be left of them?
Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Because at that point, we've already done construction. We're doing whatever the fuck we want in this place.
Yeah.
So many bands have filmed their videos there. Oh, they tried.
Yeah.
However, do you know what saved us?
Love.
No.
No. Oh, okay.
I narked on another band.
What?
Well, no, it had to be done.
Uh-oh.
So there was a guy who was the property manager there.
Okay.
Right? And, you'd run into other bands in the parking lot, and people are like, man, like, am I crazy? Or my knobs on my amp are all, like, turned differently. And it's like, yeah, I'm missing, like, this piece of my gear. I'm missing this piece of my gear. Like, there was stuff that would go missing, stuff that be kind of moved around in rooms. Like, people were going in with this dude and messing around with people's gear and, like, stealing stuff and doing whatever. Because he had a master key.
Right.
So him and his friends used to party up on the 3rd floor on the aforementioned Jizz Couch. And one night they wrecked the entire 3rd floor.
I remember
there
that.
There was a giant stuffed bear. Like the giant stuffed bears that they sell at Costco now, that are the size of like an actual full-size bear.
Yes, I have one in that closet.
Do you really?
Yeah.
Just ripped apart, like stuffing everywhere. So we had just been blamed for like the pea cups. We had been, they're mad at us for painting the door. All this stuff is going down. So I just marched right into the office and I walked in. And also the rent was coming mostly for me. It was constantly late. So, they're already on us for paying rent late. So I just marched right in the office and I go see the guy, George, who's running the place. And I sit down and he's like, what do you want? And I said, listen, out of respect for you and out of respect for your establishment and out of self-preservation, I'm going to tell you that it wasn't us who wrecked the 3rd floor. Because I know we've been getting blamed for everything. And he's like, well, because you guys do everything. I was like, well, be that what it is.
Neither here nor there.
We did not wreck the 3rd floor. Well, who did? And I was like, well, who do you think wrecked the 3rd floor? I was like, who has a key to everything? I was like, who has access to the place even more than the bands do? And he got like real quiet for a second. I was like, just think about that. Just know it wasn't us. And he got up. And he says, well, that took a lot of integrity for you to march in here like that. And he shook my hand and he said, thank you very much. We never had a problem again. So I didn't actually say who it was. I just, alluded.
I'm still not putting the pieces together. I have no idea who did it.
Oh, he knew.
I think it was Shaun. To be honest,
honestly, it might have been.
It might have been.
I wouldn't know.
Blacked out, tore down a wall, and killed a stuffed bear.
Yeah.
You would think I was doing a lot of drugs, but I never did.
No, I know. You didn't.
Never.
For those listening at home, it was the burnout on the Jizz Couch with the giant bear.
Oh, man.
Mystery solved.
Mr. Mustard.
Yeah, so eventually, we did ultimately leave that studio. Everyone eventually left that studio. For a time and a place, though, it was pretty hopping. We had a lot of fun there. And we also...
I met my wife there.
You did meet your wife there.
Yeah.
Isn't that cool?
I met her.
I think I met my wife, too.
Yes, probably.
I think she showed up in the studio one day.
Isn't that weird?
That is fucking weird.
I wasn't so lucky.
Oh.
So we are going to wrap up this episode, and next episode we're going to talk a little bit about touring and a little bit about traveling back in the day versus what it's like to tour and travel today. Frank, do you have any last thoughts on the studio?
Oh, jeez. Well, one thing that I do not miss is the death trap of an elevator that you would have to load out of.
Oh, God.
That was always... I still have nightmares about it. Here's the thing. It's a freight elevator that sometimes would run and sometimes wouldn't run. And you would have to kind of stick your hand into the guts of it and pull a rope to let you go up or down. And there's a sign that, like, easy to read is questionable, that said, like, you're not supposed to ride inside it. But if you didn't, it would send all your gear all the way down to, like, this dark basement that was half flooded and full of snakes and bugs and rats and bullshit, and then you would never get your gear again. So you had to ride in there to actually operate the elevator and make sure it got off at the right floor.
Scary.
Yeah, it almost was set up as a guillotine where there was a space open in it, and if you had any kind of appendage or a head sticking out, it would cut you off as it fell to the floor. I still have nightmares about that elevator, and I'm so glad that I never have to go on that thing again.
How about you, Shaun? Any final thoughts on the studio?
I remember, because as you were saying that you did pay for most of us. I didn't have a job at the time. I remember buying you a car.
You did buy me a car.
To make up for that at some point.
That was the single greatest gift I think anyone has ever given me.
Green hell.
Green hell.
Green hell.
And it was like, I remember I bought it and you and Frank showed up and it was sitting in the parking lot.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right? Is that what happened?
That was incredible.
So Shaun and I got fired from this supermarket reset job that we had, that we're going to talk about a little more in the next episode, because it does have to do with traveling and how we used to travel back then.
Oh yeah.
So we were driving around, and I was driving the Pensy Prep van around, and that was my daily driver car. Like I sold my car to get the van. Holy shit, was that a bad deal? So so I'm driving the Pensy Prep van around, and that's the only mode of transportation I have. We drive past this dude's house, and on the street there is a '69 Ford LTD, murder black, with neon green flames, like rat fink green.
Oh, so cool.
And I was like, oh man, I wish I had a car like that. I'm just like so tired of driving this van around because, like, you know, running out and just trying to go to the supermarket or to go to the liquor store to get a 6-pack, I'm with this giant murder van. And so I was driving Frank around for something. I came back to my house and it's parked out in front of my driveway. Shaun actually went out and bought the car. He knocked on the guy's door and made a deal, and I owned this beautiful vintage car that was a monster. And people thought I was so much tougher than I was because I'm driving around in there. But man, I'm a big old softy.
That was a badass gift.
That's a fantastic
car.
car.
It was a very Hambone car.
It was a very Hambone car. And I've never forgotten that, Shaun, and thank you for that, man. That meant
well, you
the
did
entire
until
world
he
to
just
me.
reminded you.
On air. So we're going to wrap up this episode. Frank, where can people find you?
I am on Twitter at Frank Iero. I am on Instagram at Frank Iero Must Die. And I have a website, frank-iero.com.
Very cool. Shaun, you got anything you want to plug?
Wizard Beach is still on its way out. I don't know when this is going to show.
This will either be right before or right after Wizard Beach. Definitely go and check out Wizard Beach when it hits stands. And who's putting it out?
Boom Studios.
Boom Studios, Wizard Beach. Check that out. You can find me at mythaitv.com for my other podcast, My Thai Happy Hour. It is a tiki pop culture podcast. You could also find me, the Vintage RPG podcast, wherever great podcasts are listened to. And for Frank Iero and Shaun Simon, I'm John Hambone McGuire. Join us next month for another episode of Casual Interactions. Until then, hold on to your friends.
Thanks for listening. Don't forget to like, review, and subscribe to the podcast. Every review helps other listeners find us. Casual Interactions is a ham-fisted production. Music by Dead Go West. Art by Stephen Blay.